Welcome everybody to another episode of the Parsons Principle. That's what I've eventually landed on my channel, and where that comes from is you probably know, if anybody's familiar with business, the Pareto Principle, where you really want to focus on the 20% of the stuff that matters and not worry about the 80% that doesn't. That's my little funny take on it, I guess you could say. I guess, it flows pretty good, I guess. So hopefully it works. We'll see. But anyway, this episode is going to be talking about something that I recently did after several years of kind of having it on the back burner. I published a book that's based partly on my career, and I did a lot of research to kind of reinforce and make sure it wasn't just my perspective, that I try to make it a useful resource for someone that, and in my case as a chief information officer, as CIO, it was to take someone that's aspiring to get to that level. And as we know in IT, a lot of times you start out in an area that's very technical and specialized, and you develop that particular set of skills, like the Taken movies, that it doesn't necessarily translate over into leadership and being an executive. It takes a special kind of person really to adapt their mindset from being in the room doing programming, or whether you're doing Python or C# or whatever. Developers especially, they're all in that mindset. But networking people and support people and everything across the IT landscape, in large part, it's all pretty specialized, and it's all you're not really thinking so much about the business. You're thinking about developing your skill set, kind of continuing on a specialized path. The business is only a conduit that gets you there. You don't think so much. It's kind of like the widget concept, or it doesn't really matter what the business is. My skills translate to something else. So regardless. But getting back to the book, what I really wanted to do after I realized that there's a lot of gaps along the way. And just a quick little backstory on me. I started out in business at a very early age. As a teenager, I kind of worked for my family that had a chain of supermarkets. My grandparents had auto parts stores, and we had home improvement, development, even a radio station and some other things going on. So I kind of became familiar with a lot of things early on, and kind of in general how to manage businesses, and how to look at a P&L, and how to supervise people and things like that. And really the main thing that I learned, that I carried forward to when I became a manager and executive, is really the relationship part, developing relationships with your vendors, with your not only the people that follow you, subordinates and things like that, but the negotiation aspect too. So I was 16 years old, and I was negotiating pallets of green beans and things like that, that they were running on promotion, that we were, it's a merchandising aspect. So I really learned a little bit about leverage and anchor pricing and compromise, and how to set it up as a win-win for everyone. And that really carried through big time throughout my career. But once I got into IT, it was a completely different shift, because when I first started, it was in the early 90s, and at that time it was a mainframe world with a few minis here and there. You would see the AS400s and things like that around. We personally, at the place I work, we had a mainframe that is dumb terminals, centralized processing. Not long after I started, though, we had a few personal computers, and across the entire company we had 5, and they were all related to accounting and payroll. There wasn't any out in the plants or in managers didn't have them. They were so expensive, and really the value at the time didn't wasn't fully understood. I became real curious about it, got into IT, on my own. I had a spare bedroom computer, learning everything from the O to Lotus 1-2-3, WordPerfect, which you don't hear much about anymore, still around. With the early applications took forever because it was DOS, loading Windows on top of it. With an 8086 processor, it took forever to tick, 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 to get anything done. But it was a good experience because it makes you appreciate exactly how quickly you can get things done today with a computer. But I'm trying not to digress too much, but give you a little background. Fast forward, when I got into becoming an IT manager, luckily I had enough management experience where I probably had a bigger advantage than a lot of people that would have been otherwise promoted into a management role. But over time, I had to continue to develop my skills more so in business than I did in technology, because once you get up to a certain level, especially at the director or the VP or the CIO or the CTO level, you have to really be a business person that happens to be responsible for the IT side of the business. And really you're thinking strategically, you're thinking, the traditional SWOT concept of your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. If you're using various tools, to evaluate how you differentiate yourself in your market, and competitive advantage. You're analyzing the business, and really at that level, the strategy kind of dictates the technology. So a lot of IT people think that it's this shiny object syndrome. You see something really cool out there, like right now today with AI. Like, well, let's implement or integrate AI into our business. Well, put a pause on that. Let's figure out the best way to implement AI to maximize the value within the business. And people, you introduce any type of change, especially in business processes, you really have to plan it out, or you're going to end up, either having false starts, or it's just not going to work. People aren't going to accept it. So there's a lot of that. If you in change management, if you don't get to acceptance, then a lot of it is just spinning your wheels. But at any rate, getting back to the book, that's I started out an outline years ago, and then I started adding to the chapters little by little, and then eventually I got to just recently, as I retired from my the CIO position I had up in Tennessee, I decided I'm going to finish this book and get it out there while it's all fresh on my mind, and just do it, get it done, publish it. And now it's out on Amazon. It's hardcover, paperback, and Kindle, and unlimited. So, if you're curious, you could always read it for free. But this is the cover for the paperback, as you can probably see there. And it's actually bigger than this now. This was an early draft. I've got an expanded edition, it's twice that big now, that included a lot of extra resources, charts, and checklists and things like that to pack in as much stuff as I possibly could to help someone, if this is the career path that they want to go down. But we're getting close to 10 minutes on this video. It's all one take, so I just wanted to just talk about that, kind of get this channel going. And I'm going to add a lot of videos, I hope, in the coming days and weeks, that really comes across for everything that I kind of dip my toe in. It's real estate, sales, investing, business, entrepreneurship, technology, just having fun with some things, with lifestyle, things that are happening around here in Florida. Who knows what it'll be, but that's kind of what to expect, and hopefully it's entertaining, and hopefully I'm not chopping up these videos too much. I'm just trying to do it all right off the cuff. You don't see me reading off a script, right? So I don't know if I'll continue to do that, but at least I am this time. So have a good day. Until next time.